Hey, I really hate to say this. I think there's someone buried right there. I'm not even f***ing kidding. Do you see it? I'm not even, this isn't a f***ing joke, guys!
I haven't watched Loki, don't want to watch Loki, never will watch Loki, so feel free to light my rump up in the comments about how uneducated I am in the TVA lore and all of that cancer. I would rather delete my channel before I watch more of Loki. Episode 1 was already enough to put me on suicide
you haven't
watch.
seen it at all? Like
I saw episode 1 and I abandoned ship immediately. However, if I raise a question that exposes how poorly the TVA were conceived for Loki, do not simply state, that's how they were in Loki, therefore they are safe in Deadpool and Wolverine. Starting with, why the fuck doesn't the TVA use any kind of projectile weaponry instead of sticks? You want me to believe that the organization essentially playing God with the resources to erase timelines couldn't harness their void teleporting tech into guns. A grenade, perhaps? Or like produce any sort of additional tools to facilitate banishing threats? How is it that Star-Lord had more effective tech to apprehend people in his first appearance than the fuckers in charge of keeping timelines intact? These dipshits also teleport far away from Deadpool instead of right behind him while he's distracted. You know, kind of like how they literally do before this fight scene, which also shows they're able to pinpoint their portal locations and it doesn't have to be as random as the fight makes it look to be. They wouldn't even need to fully step through the portal, they could just poke the stick through if they're close enough to him. A perfect moment to do this was when Deadpool's claws were stuck in his own arm and in the ass of an agent. But nope, the fucking idiot decided to open a portal several feet away from him and blow his sneak attack by yelling.
My own fucking arm!
None of them even try keeping their distance and tapping Deadpool without getting too close. They have no strategy, no coordination, they just keep teleporting at random, charging at full speed, and expect a different result after violently losing several of their men. And if that wasn't bad enough, the last TVA agent standing decides to stop to talk while DP is vulnerable. It's not even the cringe CW Flash, let me try to appeal to your humanity and convince you that you aren't a bad person kind of stop to talk. No, he just insults DP, cause that ought to do the trick. But whatever, we gotta shoehorn in a Chris Rock getting bitch slapped reference.
Logan was a hero, and the only thing worth a shit to ever come out of Canada.
Get my country's name out of your fucking mouth.
I got a fun comparison you're all gonna hate me for. There's a sort of TLJ disappearing knife moment during the fight. Yeah, the agent who managed a surprise attack until he decided to yell? Well, that guy runs to attack, he swings his club as he gets closer, DP counterattacks, but when he makes contact with the agent, the shot cuts, and the agent blips into a T-pose. He's no longer swinging, and his club is gone. This segment might have been chopped up into 2 shots because the stick would have touched Deadpool otherwise. And he can't go to the void without Logan, of course. Then there would be no movie.
And in this instance, I am the Mercy Killer. Ha!
I fucking hate TVA Man. So TVA Man is in charge of the TVA sector overseeing the Deadpool universe. Except he's gone postal.
Damn, here I was minding my own business, just enjoying my Second Amendment rights. And you people have to freak out on me.
I will now recount some exposition and his super evil plan he definitely doesn't tell anyone that would be affected by it, so that we're all on the same page. TVA Man sends his agents to capture Deadpool to offer him the opportunity to leave his universe and join the sacred 616 timeline, the MCU as we know it. Since the TVA can see through time, they know Deadpool will be needed by the 616 Avengers to help save their world sometime in the future, and they're coming to DP now because his universe is in peril. So it turns out Logan from Logan is what TVA Man calls the anchor being of Deadpool's universe, aka a person of such vital importance that the entire universe revolves around their existence, and their death would usher the end of that universe, aka another bullshit rule to be added to the MCU's ever-growing laundry list of bullshit multiverse rules. Maybe Reva thought she was the anchor being in Star Wars and that's why she was a fucking moron.
Why didn't you stop him? Why didn't you save us?
Anyway, TVA TVA man claims a universe tends to perish a couple thousand years after the death of the anchor being, so everyone alive at that point would be dead anyway by the time it dies. Except TVA man just wants to erase it ASAP as possible, without telling his TVA superiors. This means while Deadpool would have the chance to survive this purge, his loved ones and everyone else in his universe would not. And the way TVA man would do this is by activating a time ripper machine that takes 72 hours to prepare, instead of using the little portable devices that activate instantly. So what is TVA man's motivation to do all of this? He doesn't want to spend those thousands of years babysitting a timeline that's going to end anyway, and he doesn't want to work for the TVA, he wants to be the TVA. He tells Deadpool all of this. He doesn't even keep most of this to himself. He spills all of it, including the timeline erasing machine and its location. This stupid brain-dead cock, sorry, YouTube said everything was allowed except the C word, thought that telling Deadpool he plans to eviscerate his friends in a mocking, mustache-twirling villain tone was going to convince him to leave his universe.
We used to just prune these things, but I'm told the TVA doesn't like to do that anymore. Well, I do. We need a mercy killer. And in this instance, I am the mercy killer. Ha! And don't worry, your friends won't feel a thing. It'll be over just like this. Oh, what's that?
You're gonna old yeller my fucking universe?
In your parlance, yes. 2 in the heart, 1 in the head.
These TVA cucks are fucking immortal beings that basically study generations of humans as part of their job. And this dumb fuck thought Deadpool of all people was going to take this lightly. TVA man has already successfully schemed to prematurely purge a universe behind his boss's backs, and for some reason he couldn't lie one last time to Deadpool to guarantee his victory. He didn't have to mention anything about the imminent doom of his universe. DP already accepted to join the Avengers. It would have been as simple as telling DP he will get to return to his universe, but then cut contact as soon as he's in 616. But you know what? If Deadpool is needed to save the sacred timeline in the future, then TVA man didn't need to reveal himself whatsoever. He could have simply sent his troops to pull DP through a portal and send his ass to 616 with no discussion. Why does he care about getting consent when he's committed to the sacred timeline and to being evil anyway? Is it cause then there would be no movie?
Maybe.
Also, this crackhead gives DP a fully decked out suit armed with fucking adamantium swords, cause sure, they have access to that but not guns, before telling him the worst part about all of this. You know, the part TVA man should have known would make DP furious and maybe even trigger him into killing him right then and there.
Why?
Being a hero takes only a few moments. Doing the ugly stuff, no one else will do.
Now with that out of the way, why the fuck does TVA man think secretly purging a timeline will result in his promotion? He says the TVA used to prune timelines, but it doesn't operate like that anymore. I'm assuming because they grew a moral backbone. So he's going to show the TVA how much more efficient it can be by doing the same thing it used to do. You can't make this up. He doesn't even entertain the idea that when his superiors find out about his unsanctioned business, he could be punished instead of applauded, which is what happens at the end of the fucking movie. And if you want to claim that TVA man lied about wanting a promotion and he never planned to show his boss his revolutionary idea, it's still a limp-dicked lie that wouldn't fly by anyone with common sense, and his boss would eventually find out about his deeds. There's no way TVA man's sector is going to go thousands of years pretending to manage a timeline and nothing to show for it. So yeah, TVA man is an embarrassingly terrible character and the entire story hinges on his stupidity. That's the TVA in Act 1 alone. But don't worry, they're made even worse in Act 2 thanks to a throwaway line. Blade and Elektra tell Deadpool that the reason they are in the void is because the TVA decided their universe was dying, and people like them don't go quietly. The TVA knows that, so they put them in the void.
What?
What are you talking about?
First of all, what the fuck are these two going to do to stop the end of their universe? The TVA considered two people with swords and guns a threat to their reality-wiping device. Just activate it in the middle of nowhere like you did in Loki, you fucking donkeys. Second of all, why even tell them that their universe is ending? If they have no knowledge of this and you didn't introduce yourselves, they wouldn't even be able to rationalize what the fuck is happening as they're being wiped out, much less fight back. I need you guys to understand how fucking insane this shit is. Blade and Elektra weren't able to defend themselves from being touched by a stick, but the TVA was worried they'd be able to stop their universe from imploding. Dumb fucking piece of shit organization. I don't know if Laura is here for the same reason. It doesn't make sense if she was, because she is also powerless to stop the world from ending, and we get nothing additional on why she's here. And as if TVA tech wasn't confusing enough, these special phones that can open multiversal portals don't have any safeguards on them. They can't be locked or restricted from the TVA headquarters. And apparently, they are extremely easy to operate. Like, boomer-friendly easy. No learning or prior experience required. Because Deadpool is able to open a portal underneath himself during like the half second he holds it while falling. I know the slow-mo makes it feel like it's longer, but Blood wouldn't have been able to even read what was on screen in that time, much less punch in the location he wants to go to. Before I mention what that location is, I've seen people defend certain choices this movie makes with, "That was the joke," or "That was the whole point," or "That was a representation of this thing in real life." For example, Logan as the Fox universe's anchor being is a representation of how in real life, the X-Men franchise was carried by that character. That is a real one I've seen. And if you're tempted to leave a comment like that,
you are welcome to keep it to yourself. Because I don't care.
Let's try to assess the script without linking it to the writer's intention, death of the author and all of that. Actually don't, more comments are better for the algorithm. So Deadpool uses super speed to set the location to Logan's grave, which happened in 2029. Okay, yeah, everything is fucked. Someone at Marvel Studios HQ didn't get the memo that Logan takes place in 2029.
Hey Clyde, it's 2029. Why are we still talking about mutants?
So, the only explanation for Deadpool's arrival here is that they retconned Logan to take place in or before 2024. They make this abundantly clear by showing a scene that takes place in 2018 after Deadpool 2, and then returning to the present with 6 years later text. Then when TVA Man captures Wade, in 2024 mind you, he tells him Logan is already dead. He doesn't say he will die in 5 years. He shows him footage from Logan and speaks as if it's already occurred and the universe is currently starting to dissipate from losing its anchor being.
This is your universe. That is what happens when a universe loses their anchor being. See how it decays from the inside? Your anchor being died in an act of self-sacrifice so epic that it sent shivers down the timeline.
And then this insane nonsense is one-upped by the fact that Logan and the Deadpool duology don't actually take place in the same universe. Deadpool 2 is in 2018 and featured the main X-Men as their younger selves. If we accept Deadpool 3's retcon of Logan's year and universe, then these poor chumps have aged fucking astronomically in 6 years. Speaking of rapid aging, Laura would have been sent to the Void shortly after Logan's death, when she was 11, which is shortly before this movie, and she somehow aged 7 years when Deadpool sees her.
I got to have a life because of you. I got to grow up because of you. A lot of kids did.
Wrong.
And yeah, I've seen people claim that Logan is in its own isolated universe even from the other X-Men movies, which I don't know how true that is. I don't really care, and frankly it sounds like a headache figuring out. All I know is that it can't coincide with Deadpool.
Who cares? The X-Men movies have never made sense of their timeline and continuity.
I do, bitch. I'm afraid I'm of the belief that media should improve over time and avoid repeating past mistakes. Fuck me, how many times am I gonna reference this clip?
Logan takes place in 2029, totally separate thing. Logan died in Logan. Not touching that.
People have been arguing against the idea that Deadpool and Wolverine did not disrespect Logan, with the Wolverine in this movie is not the same one. They did not change anything from Logan, and you can still enjoy it. Which I have no doubt a small minority, like the people who eat crayons and need Subway Surfers gameplay on screen, have the misconception that they're the same Logan. But to the rest of us, this is a straw man, and also wrong. They put their fingers all over Logan's timeline. They manhandled it and pulled the setting of that movie into a different time and location. But maybe that doesn't count to you because it's not about the characters. Okay, fine. So, unbeknownst to most, Deadpool and Wolverine is canonically a sequel to Logan. No one is saying we can't enjoy Logan anymore as if everything he did in that movie was overwritten. But now we have confirmation of what happens after Logan. We have confirmation that Deadpool will desecrate the meaningful tomb created by his daughter. We have confirmation that his remains will be broken apart and used to sadistically wipe out a bunch of clowns. We have confirmation that his remains are to be scattered throughout the forest and embedded in the bodies of a bunch of idiots. We have confirmation that Logan's death, a result of his sacrifice to save a group of children, is the cause of the end of his universe. We have confirmation that he's to be literally replaced by a genetically identical Logan. We have confirmation that Laura is to be raptured and tossed into another dimension, away from her family, for no reason.
But Laura gets out of the void and lives happily ever after, and the universe gets a new anchor being.
The stupid bullshit still happened. The new multiverse rules written by a narcoleptic gnome are still canon. Don't isolate the conclusion as if the journey between the previous ending and this one doesn't matter. They could have just left Laura alone. They couldn't even be bothered to provide a legitimate reason she's here. But yes, you're all right. None of this is disrespectful. The same way how I could urinate on your freshly deceased family members' corpses, husk fuck the remains, and tell you the memories you had of them are still in your head. They still did the things they did. Then you can just soak up the piss and cum with a sponge so it'll be like nothing happened. I mean, for fuck's sake, Deadpool admits this right at the beginning.
How are we gonna do this without dishonoring Logan's memory? And I'll tell you how. We're not.
Shouldn't you guys be furious that he says something so indisputably incorrect? Oh, I learned after writing this that it turns out there's a separate group of Deadpool and Wolverine fans using this quote as proof that it is indeed disrespectful, but that's the whole point. He's Deadpool after all. This is something he would totally do. Have you guys ever thought for maybe a microsecond that yes, this is in character for Deadpool, but he didn't have to be written into the scenario, especially when his reasoning for doing this makes no fucking sense from his perspective, as I'll go over later. This scene wasn't coerced into existence. Do you think Marvel had a violate a respected character's grave quota that they needed to meet for this movie? Actually, don't answer that. Anyway, circling back to anchor beings, having Logan be the anchor being of his universe makes me question how the fuck anchor beings are even selected. The fact that they are described as an entity of such vital importance that when they die, their whole world slowly withers out of existence implies that they are selected based on what they will do in the future, or perhaps the level of power and influence they are to be born with. In other words, actions and characteristics are predetermined, aka there's no free will. Everything will be exactly as God or whoever the fuck planned it. And even if we accept this premise, you need to keep in mind that it's not just the Earth's life that depends on one individual's existence. It's the entire universe. The life on other planets and galaxies depend on it too. Like, I know there's no proof that Celestials and the Eternals exist in the Deadpool universe, but you would expect an entity of cosmic proportions such as them to be the universe's anchor being, not a guy with weird genetics who saves a group of kids. I would expect Charles Xavier to be more anchor-worthy than Logan, given the generosity and hope he chooses to spread throughout his lifetime with an ability as powerful as his. And then you have to think about how the universe has already existed for billions of years before Logan was even a sperm cell, and if it was able to exist for so long without him, then he really isn't much of an anchor at all. What the fuck was the universe anchored to before him?
It is of no concern.
It's almost as if the anchor being mechanic is fundamentally nonsensical, I don't know. And then we have the lovely rule of incursions, which has to be mentioned because the plot revolves around characters universe hopping. Deadpool wants to join the Avengers in 616, the TVA want to permanently transfer Deadpool to 616, and Deadpool wants to permanently transfer another Logan to his universe.
Stephen, your arrival here confuses and destabilizes reality. The larger the footprint you leave behind, the greater the risk of an incursion. An incursion occurs when the boundary between two universes erodes and they collide, destroying one or both entirely.
Deadpool would leave a massive footprint on the sacred timeline by joining and helping the Avengers, making the TVA even more brain dead by wanting this as if they wouldn't fucking know that incursions are a thing. The new Logan would leave a massive footprint on Deadpool's universe by becoming its new anchor being and a new hero. The main characters' goals will cause the erosion of their universes should they succeed, and the latter does happen at the end of the movie.
I want to show you something. Your universe is regenerating. Whatever you did here, you not only saved your world, you spared your timeline from extinction.
So goodbye, Deadpool universe, and possibly new Logan's universe, since both can be destroyed. Multiverse of badness is just a gift that keeps on giving. I have seen someone claim, unironically, that there is nothing to suggest that an incursion will happen, because the TVA doesn't prune timelines anymore. The TVA are not behind incursions, you fucking backed up colon. Incursions are a naturally occurring phenomenon, just like how anchor beings are.
Stephen, your arrival here confuses and destabilizes reality. An incursion occurs when the boundary between two universes erodes and they collide, destroying one or both entirely.
God damn, the absolute cope for this movie. What we have here, once again, is a story that fundamentally does not work. Thanks, Michael Waldron.
Yeah, that's definitely a case of me just not knowing what to do with the script.
It's actually not his fault. No one held the writers of this movie nor Kevin Feige at gunpoint and forced them to make any of these decisions. They simply wanted to have their cake and eat it by making this a multiverse story set in the MCU multiverse while ignoring multiverse lore previously established by the MCU. I think I'm gonna talk about the man himself for a little bit and then dip. So Mr. Wade Wilson is dumb. And I don't mean, oh, he makes dumb jokes and acts like an idiot most of the time. Acting immature does not equal stupid. So his whole thing in this movie is he wants to join the Avengers to show Vanessa that he matters, that he can be part of something bigger.
I want to matter. I need to show my girl that I matter. Sir, my girl is kind of had it with my shtick, and if I don't turn things around and do something with my gifts, I don't think it's gonna really work out for me, and I wouldn't blame her.
How is he supposed to look like he matters to Vanessa by going to another universe and fighting alongside a team she knows nothing about? Is he going to record his sessions saving the city and play it back for her when he comes back? She can't even read about it, see it on the news, or even be in the world he's saving. He tells TVA man he doesn't mind traveling for work, so he's not under the impression that he'll be bringing her and all his friends with him to live there, which, even if he did, you can't just plop a group of people in a new universe and expect them to carry on with their lives. I guess Wade is fully banking on Vanessa taking his word for it and being captivated by his storytelling. When TVA man spills his entire evil plan in his office, he's a bumbling fucking idiot, of course, but the writers didn't try to make Deadpool look any better by having him point that out or question anything. He doesn't say, you do realize you're trying to impress your bosses with a tactic they practiced and abandoned in the past, right? Or, you do realize you just told me everything I need to know to stop you, right? Isn't it funny that Ultron made fun of the villain exposits their evil plan trope, but the meta-aware, fourth-wall-breaking yapper didn't highlight this during what is arguably the most egregious example in these movies? Like, I'm not saying it would have made this shitty scene any better, it would have just been lampshading, but it's certainly low-hanging fruit for a meta joke, and I'm surprised they didn't take it, especially since he calls the Time Ripper a MacGuffin before even learning what it is. But nothing about the idiotic villain monologue. It makes me feel like they were either unaware of their horrendous writing, or they didn't want the casual audience to become aware of it. And then Deadpool's only solution to his universe ending, which he acts upon with no discussion, is to dig up Logan and show the TVA that he's not actually dead, because according to him, that's not how regenerative healing factors work? What the fuck is that supposed to mean? He heals fast, therefore absolutely nothing can kill him? Looks like all 5 writers kinda forgot that Deadpool already fucking acknowledged Logan dies in his second movie, making his reason for digging him up even more nonsensical.
Fuck Wolverine. First, he rides my coattails with the R rating. Then, the hairy motherfucker ups the ante by dying. Well, guess what, Wolvie? I'm dying in this one, too.
Even if we ignore the acknowledgement, he claims Logan is still alive despite that the TVA, the multiversal entities who watch people for a living, told him to his face that Logan is dead and the universe is unraveling because of it, and showed him footage of these things happening.
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Wolverine is not dead. Sure, it made for a perfect ending to a very sad story, but that's That's not how regenerative healing factors work.
Why the fuck did he say this to the audience and never to TVA Man? Remember how Wade immediately reassured TVA Man that he's not dead, just going through a midlife crisis, when he thought he was the anchor being? Weird how he didn't do the same when it was revealed it's actually Logan, especially since Wade is so certain he's not dead. And this isn't a heat of the moment scenario where he has to make a decision on a dime, mind you. 3 minutes pass from the time he's told Logan is dead to deciding he's going to dig up Logan. Not once does he tell TVA Man he's wrong because Logan is actually alive during these 3 minutes. Once Deadpool learns the ugly truth a second time, he chills out with Logan's skeleton until the TVA agents show up. Instead of universe hopping to avoid being caught like he does in a few minutes, he decides to kill all the agents and the ones that join in, because that'll be an amazing look to TVA Man when he brings him an alternate Wolverine. Once the agents stop coming in, Deadpool says, "I gotta find me another Logan," as if it's intuitive that anchor beings can simply be replaced by someone from a completely different reality. If the way to stop the universe from imploding was as easy as stealing another Logan, TVA Man would have probably already done this, but I guess DP immediately concluded that he's never tried or thought of that before. He didn't consider, even for a second, gee, maybe TVA Man hasn't replaced my anchor being with another one to satisfy himself because it simply isn't possible. Remember, TVA Man doesn't want to end Deadpool's universe for no reason, he's just too lazy to look over one whose death timer has started ticking. And if your defense is something like, Deadpool does think TVA Man is aware of the replacing Logan option, he's just too stuck up to go through with it. What makes DP think TVA Man won't just send the new Logan back to his universe, if he's too stuck up like you say? What's also strange about this is Wade is convinced that whatever Logan he chooses to steal will easily replace his dead anchor being. So what's stopping him from realizing that the Logan he steals is possibly the anchor being of the universe he's stolen from?
Dick move.
After TVA Man reveals anchor beings cannot be replaced, DP asks, how can I make this right? Like, maybe ask that before making 2 major assumptions based on nothing and assaulting him and killing his team?
You idiot!
And there's one more thing that bothers me. So Deadpool is Mr. Fourth Wall Breaker, Dr. Meta-Aware. He knows all. He knows he's in a series of movies. He'll make references to movie tropes, external characters, real-life pop culture, etc.
This is my most prized possession.
Let us go talk to the professor.
McAvoy or Stewart. And please don't make the super suit green. Or animated.
It's a big house. It's funny that I only ever see 2 of you. It's almost like the studio couldn't afford another X-Men. I was fighting a caped badass. But then we discovered his mom is named Martha, too. You think the studio would throw us a bone? The first movie made more money than the guy who invented pants.
What's that do?
Power dampening collar.
Huh. Could've used one of those in the first act.
They keep a monster in the basement, right next to a huge steaming bowl of foreshadowing.
What did I do to piss off a grumpy old fucker with a Winter Soldier arm?
We need to build a fucking team. They need to be tough and young enough to carry this franchise 10 to 12 years.
But I am a huge fan. Uncanny X-Men, one of these 3, Thor 411.
I got 2 charges, one to get me here, one to get me home.
Well, that's just lazy writing.
Hey, big guy, the sun's getting real low. Tell me they got that in slow motion.
And these are played for laughs. It's all superficial, no problem with that. But my question is, how far does that go? This is important to Deadpool 3 because the movie decides to evolve his meta-knowledge into an integral part of his character regression and the plot. He knows about Captain America, his catchphrase,
Oh my god, he's gonna say it!
Say what?
Avengers Assemble!
the Avengers, them eating shawarma,
You know the Avengers discovered shawarma.
and respects them so much that he thinks joining them is definitely going to make him madder. He knows what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is and that the Disney Fox acquisition is a thing and what the implications of this are. Deadpool is essentially an MCU audience member.
Alliance.
Alioth is in this thing? From Loki season 1, episode 5?
But he doesn't know what incursions are, and that his ultimate desire and bringing in an alternate Wolverine would usher in the end of the universe. Calm down, fanboys. I'm not saying this is genuinely an issue. It could just be he conveniently didn't watch Multiverse of Madness. Just something to think about.
Your universe is not the only one in existence.
Oh, please, you think I haven't seen Dr. Ant in the Quantum Burst of Madness?
Oh, good thing that became a deleted scene. Otherwise, it would have validated that criticism. This isn't gonna be like a full-fledged review. Just wanted to cover some fundamental issues that should not allow the story to play out as it does. Something to get my head back in the game, because I did start watching season 5 of The Flash and wanted to off myself, unironically, in Minecraft, so I took a break from that. DPNW wasn't a No Way Home scenario, where I had a great time in the theater, but later recognized its issues. Starting the movie with this scene was a one-way ticket to annihilate my investment. I was basically left processing what I just witnessed for the rest of the runtime. But I suppose I'll mention a couple things that I liked. I liked the minion joke.
Yeah, we don't be knowing that lid ain't coming off without that dome gonna come off with it.
I'm so sorry, beautiful. I want this to be gentle. Who is your dialect coach? The Minions?
Blade dropping the hard R, as in the R word. That was giga-based and totally Sigma.
I was not expecting to see you here. Thought you were, you know, retired.
Redacted. I have like 5 times more respect for Disney for allowing that one to stay in the movie. But you know, 0 times 5 is still 0. But even with the severe issues I've brought up, I've still not mentioned the biggest sin of the movie. The objectively worst choice they made. The apotheosis of missed opportunity. Elektra's suit didn't expose her tummy. They went full throttle with shirtless Hugh Jackman, even had one of the gay, pan, and female characters drool over his body. And Jennifer Garner still looks amazing. Where is the eye candy for the straight men, huh? Where is our representation? One of the movie's concept artists even dressed her in the cropped top, but it didn't make it to the final stage. We were this close to a 9 out of 10. Release the tummy cut, you cowards.
Let's go, give it to ya. Fuck, wait for you to get it on your own. Let's go deliver